Evening. So I've just driven over to Wicken Fen, which is not too far from where I live, and I thought I would come along and try out a few shots with the little Voigtlander 15mm f4.5 lens. So I used to have the 16-35 Sony zoom, but I found that pretty much most of the shots I did with it were always at the wide end at 16mm, but it was quite a big, heavy thing, and I was always manually focusing. So this is a manual focus lens, but as you can see, it's super tiny. It's really small. It's brilliant. It does take filters. It's got a 58mm thread on it, so it's going to be dusk here shortly, and apparently this place is open until dusk, but I've never been here other than during the day before, so we'll wander off and see if we can actually get in and grab a couple of photos. Okay, well I won't do too much yakking just yet, because there's a little bit of colour up in the sky at the moment, and I don't think it's actually going to last too long. So I'm just going to walk over to the wind pump you can see off in the distance, see if we can get a couple of shots, and then we'll take a look at the lens a little bit more detail. Well, I was right, the colour in the sky isn't going to last very long. I've taken a handful of shots already, so we'll grab a couple more, and then I'll explain a couple of the useful features on this lens and how it differs from some older versions. So as you probably spotted, I could actually walk quite close up to the wind pump there, and that's because, like I say, it's a 15mm lens, so it's pretty wide. It's actually the third iteration of the lens that Voigtlander have made. The first couple were really aimed at just the original Leica M-Mount, and they also weren't designed for digital sensors. So I did have the original version 2 for a short while on my old Sony A7. But what I used to find was the corners were very smeary and sort of unsharp, and there was also a strange magenta sort of colour cast in the corners as well. And that's because it was really designed for working on film cameras. So the sort of little micro lenses you get on the front of digital sensors tended to behave quite strangely. With the third version, they've now made it in native Sony E-Mount. The main advantage of that is you get the EXIF information, so the lens and the focal length and the aperture are all recorded in your RAW files. Previously they wouldn't have been, same as other sort of legacy lenses. It also means that when you turn the focusing ring, let's see if we can show you, you'll see it activates the zooming feature automatically, so that's handy as well. So yeah, it's very well built. It's metal construction, feels very solid for the small size of it. The aperture ring is actually on the front, which is slightly unusual. Generally lenses tend to have it at the back. So it's f4.5 wide open. It's not a particularly fast lens. Goes all the way down to f22. The sweet spot seems to be around f8, but to be honest, even at 4.5, because it's so wide, pretty much everything is in focus. So yeah, let's wander around here a little bit further around the boardwalk, just see if we can get any other shots, and then it's probably time to wander off. I don't think the sky is going to clear up enough to try any astrophotography tonight or anything, but we'll see what else we get. So there's actually two wind pumps here. So there's the what you call the old one that we took pictures of earlier, which is off over there in the distance somewhere. Now I'm just walking up to what they would call the new one, I guess, and the new one is much simpler. It's basically a sort of metal fan blade on the top of a pole, but the sort of look of it reminds me slightly of the kind of things you might see in the American Midwest or something, just sort of slowly turning around. I think it's turning around. Might not be turning around. It's not very windy tonight. So the sun has just about disappeared over there behind me, as you can see. And this boardwalk that I'm travelling along goes round in a little sort of loop, so it's a nice simple walk you can do. It only takes a few minutes really. So I'll just spin round and you can see the other wind pump just up there behind me. Right, see if I can grab a couple of shots of this, but the sky's a bit plain over here now the sun's disappeared, so I don't know if it's going to produce a very interesting picture. We'll find out in a minute. So the other thing I should probably mention is, because the lens transmits its data back to the camera, the Embody Stabilisation works quite well. So the light levels are getting pretty low now. You can tell because I probably look horrifically grainy. And a couple of shots I took back there just now of the newer wind pump. Sort of shooting at 1/8 of a second handheld, and actually they're zooming in on the back of the camera. They look perfectly sharp, which is always good. So yeah, as I say, the light levels are getting a little dingy now, so I think it's probably time to head home. We'll have a quick look at some of the shots on the computer, get them processed and see what we've come up with. Right, image is coming up.